All right. So I've just confirmed we do have Nicole here, and I'm so glad that we have her. We very excited. And so, Nicole, I'm going to bring you in. Nicole Walters, everybody's going to be our next presenter. Yay!
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Nicole, so great to have you. Thank you for taking the time. I know that you've got a killer presentation for us. I know you just got in the room, so if you see the little computer icon at the bottom underneath the video stream, you should be able to pull up a screen share so you can present your slides. I believe it will queue it up, and then I'll be able to bring it up on the screen, and then we will give you the controls. And what we're going to do is you're going to have your stretch of time to talk, and then after that, we're going to bring in everybody for a live interactive Q&A. And so Nicole's going to have a chance to do her talk, and then we'll queue up your questions. So we'll do our best to kind of keep track of the questions as the talk rolls. But just know that we will have those questions ready for you at the end, Nicole.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here, you guys. This is going to be just a blast. So really, really excited to teach and to share and all that good stuff. So you should be able to see my slide deck up right now, or I don't know if you're seeing a bunch of the same.
Yep. So we got it. Nope, we got it.
Oh, okay, great. Are you already seeing my slides, or because based on what I'm seeing,
No, I'm also seeing the back end. So yeah. There you go.
Perfect. Awesome. So I think we're in good shape now. Is that what it looks like?
Take it away, Nicole.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for having me here. Thank you, SPI crew, for pulling this together. There aren't enough conversations about making sure that we're building businesses that are serving our audiences well. And so I've always been a big proponent of that. It has helped catapult my business to success. And of course, I'm a big fan of Nathan and Pat and everybody who's here today, James, because they truly are all about serving people well. So if you don't know anything about me, my name is Nicole Walters of NicoleWalters.com, and I built a multi-million-dollar business in just 18 months by utilizing live streaming. Now, this was about 7 years ago using Periscope, which is no longer in existence anymore, but man, can you talk about where live streaming has gone since then. And of course, knowing that utilizing live streaming was my ticket to, engaging with an audience in order to build a business authentically. At that time, I did not have a huge social media presence. I did not have a killer email list. I didn't know a thing about Facebook ads, and I still managed to build a multi-million-dollar business. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. It's worth knowing that if I look familiar to you in any respect whatsoever, it's probably because I have a very generic face and I have trustworthy eyebrows. And so those things instantly draw you in with comfort. But it could also be because I have a show on USA Network called She's the Boss, where they follow me around on how I build my business, how I manage my family, all those things. Now, I've done keynote tours with Dave Ramsey, Chalene Johnson, Brendan Burchard, and I've shared a stage with my dear friend, Pat Flynn. And I've been featured in Forbes as one of the top 1,000 businesses in the US, Today's Show, Cheddar Media, all those things. And I also have a podcast that debuted at number 9 in the world. So I'm really excited to be able to be here today to tell you the things that you need to know. But I also want you to know I'm a real person. And I think this is super important for you guys to understand, because it's so easy to see people in this summit and say, gosh, they've accomplished so much, but are they anything like me? And I want you to know that my favorite wig, her name is Rebecca. This is actually Ramona, but Rebecca is usually a show stealer. She's in this photo. I'm an adoptive mom to 3 sisters, ages 9, 18, and 21. I've been married for 11 years to my husband, who is the general counsel and lawyer at my company. And I was on Wheel of Fortune in 2005. Just if you were wondering why I just do so well at these summits, I'm a natural for the screen. I might have come in second to Wendy with an eye from Wisconsin, who won a Saturn Sky, but who cares? As you can see, I've let it go. I also want to let you know I always bring value right out of the gate. So if you're wondering, what can I really get out of this? I want pointed help. Facial exfoliation will help prevent IRS audits. If you moisturize and exfoliate your face, you will grow your email list and you'll get rid of love handles. I do things for you. I want you to know that I started from humble beginnings. So I'm a lot like you guys, where I may have a passion, a purpose. You may have been part of the wave of the Great Resignation, but I want you to know that I'm a regular person in all respects. I just come from a corporate background, and having worked in corporate for 10 years, I was able to transfer that knowledge, much like all of you are transferring whatever knowledge and expertise you have. And I was able to package that to put it online to serve an audience that needs it most. And once I found that audience, I built Inherit Learning Company, which is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, which is my business education firm. And I just opened up my West Coast offices in Santa Monica. So it's great. We've got 20 employees. We serve people every single day with business solutions. And it's been a joy. It's been a blast. And I want you to know it's all about people. So let's get to that. Today, I want to go over five different things that you need to know in order to make sure that in the coming year and in perpetuity for your business, that you're serving well. And I want to make sure that you understand that unlike some of the tips, the tricks, the hacks, the solutions, the tools, I want to talk about making sure that you're serving well while remaining in alignment for you. Because there's so many people out there that will tell you this is the coolest fad, or this is a thing to do, or you might see something that goes viral and feel like that's what you have to replicate in order to be successful. And I want to let you know that I've been really grateful to not just build a financially successful and impactful business, but I'm also grateful that I built a business that doesn't feel weird to me, where I'm able to show up every day as I am, whether that is fully dressed in hair and makeup or in a bathrobe with a hair bonnet on my head, and know that my audience is still there, that they understand who I am, that they're willing to engage and they're willing to buy because they know who I am, and they also know that they're in the right place where they're going to get solutions from somebody who cares and trusts. So that's what we're going to dive in today. Some of these things might seem a little bit obvious, but I want to let you know that you're going to hear from a lot of experts sometimes where they'll tell you to abandon what works. And I want to let you know that coming from corporate and scaling multi-billion-dollar companies from 2 to 200 million, that honestly, it's the basics that actually work. So let's dive in. The first one's get therapy. I know that absolutely sounds bananas, right? Because you're saying to yourself, how on earth is this a business strategy? Well, I want to let you know that it's very difficult to build a business around who you are effectively and to speak to an audience that is a reflection of you if you don't know who you are. So while it's so easy to leverage so many personal development tools, like, reading all the different books or joining all the different masterminds or being in every club or group or whatever, at the end of the day, everyone needs a professional to look at their brain and help guide them. And I can't emphasize enough the impact and power of getting a great therapeutic resource to help support you on your journey. Not only are you going to be dealing with things every single day from your clients, but the relationship with your audience is one that's driven of a very support-based and high expectation nature. I know that between being on TV, being in commercials, having a podcast, being in Los Angeles, doing all of these things, I'm constantly being pulled in so many directions. And whether or not it's being a great mom or being a great business owner or being great talent or being any of these things, I also want to make sure I don't lose sight of who I am for myself. Because if I do that, I can't serve well. And there is a great responsibility that is put on someone who's earned a platform and gets blessed to speak into other people's lives. It is a privilege. And too often we lose sight of that as our platforms grow, or as we get more exposure, or as we get out into the world more. And I have to let you know that finding a great therapist up front, having the time and dedicating this, as important as the masterminds, as important as the regular physical doctor's visits, as important as talking to your mentor, your coach, your consultant, your strategist. If you talk to a therapist to get honest and real about what it is that you want to do, there's no better way to stay in alignment. So get therapy so you can get clear. Next, you've got to be picky. I can't tell you how much I see this in this space where we are so quick to jump onto summits, to communities, to trips, to groups, to masterminds, based on the names that are in the room. I have to let you know that from the beginning, kind of always been a lone soldier. And it's not because I don't like people. It's not that I'm not a people person. I'm clearly an extrovert. I love people. The truth is, I'm very picky about where I put my name and who I let speak into my life. I don't need to be on every trip. I don't look at people's pictures of their masterminds and see all these big names and all that and wish that I was tagged too. I'm only interested in being in the rooms that will serve me, my people, and my purpose. And if you're able to keep that focus and recognize that what is for you will always be for you, then you're going to be able to focus on your journey and serve your people well. I have not sacrificed business growth. I have not sacrificed business revenue. And I certainly haven't sacrificed business visibility because I haven't been in rooms with certain top names. Now, sure, it's tempting when you see that, so-and-so is interested in having you be part of their summit or speak on their stage. But if you don't know their values, if you don't know their morals, if you don't know how they treat their people or how they show up for their people, you may be aligning your good name with someone who may not be here tomorrow. And I have to let you know that who speaks into you, who you lend your name to, and where you lend your gifts matters. And I want to speak into all of you today and let you know that just like me, you're destined for great things. And you need to treat your name, whether or not it has those multiple commas behind it right now, you've got to treat it like it does. So from the very beginning, I had no problem saying no to being in spaces that I didn't think served me. I'm not worried about being everyone's friend. I'm worried about being a good friend to those who deserve it most. So that way I end up being the best person that can serve the people that need me most. You don't need to be everything to everyone. Next, let's talk about those values. So obviously, when you're building out an audience, you have to understand that the people that are drawn to you because of clarity around your values. It's not just that they feel like you can help them solve their Facebook ads. It's not just that they think that you are funny or smart or interesting or you have great social media or use the right hashtag. Sure, that'll bring in people, but they'll stick around because they feel on a deeper level that they are seen and understood. And that comes from your values. So you got to know what they are, and you got to protect them and be willing not to compromise them. And that means if you're invited into certain rooms that aren't in alignment, knowing where to get out. Now, this is a great place to tell a little story. I just recently signed a over $1 million book deal with Simon & Schuster. And I tell you this to let you know that I was offered my first book deal about 5 years ago. And that book deal was for about 5 figures. And I was super excited about it because frankly, I was brand new. No one knew who I was. I was fairly starting out in the business area. I was doing well for myself. I already had $1 million business at that point, but a book would have done a lot for my platform. It would have catapulted me, given me additional visibility. It would have given me a tool I could have sold at speaking engagements, which I was booking out the wazoo. So here I am thinking a book makes a lot of sense as a next step. It feels like a little leap, but it'd be great. However, what happened was when I sat down with that publisher who was willing to formally publish my book, I also took the time to look at some of the other authors that they had published. And a lot of them politically, morally, and value-wise were not in alignment with who I am or who I want to be. And while, yes, it would have been flattering to work with, such a large publisher, and honestly, these people were very fancy folk, at the end of the day, I also knew where I was going, and I wasn't comfortable putting my name next to them because I know my values and I wanted to be picky about where I lended my name, because someday those people will be the ones saying that they're on an imprint with Nicole Walters. And you have to think of yourself the same way. So I said no. And I said no because it wasn't in alignment with my values. The money was great money at the time, but I said no, having faith that there would be something else behind it. And there sure was. I ended up signing a deal that was 130x what I'd gotten before. So yes, I had to wait. Yes, I had to keep working, but what is for you is for you. Get clear on your values and keep them. And then I want to let you know that money matters, but it's not everything. So I know I brought it up in that last story because it clearly quantifiably illustrates the point. But I also want you to know that in this industry where we have to quantify so much of what we do based on a business is successful if it's making money, an email list is working if it's growing, an audience is interested if they're showing up, all those things are very, very true. But I also want to let you know that it isn't everything. Sometimes if you really want to grow your audience, you're going to have to make certain calls. So for me, it was in growing slow. I knew right out of the gate that I wanted to grow slow to make sure that I'd be able to stick around. I wasn't just interested in making money in this industry. I was interested in keeping it. So I'm very proud of the fact that I have a debt-free business. I'm very proud of the fact that my business has 0 investors, is wholly women and Black owned. I'm incredibly proud of the fact that my business is its own bank. We have multiple 7 figures in working capital that we utilize to make change every single day. And that is something that matters to me because it means that my money is working for me and my audience. It also gives me freedom and flexibility to do things that some of my competitors can't do. Like if someone is very difficult, or if the venue is not working out, or if I have to send a check to make it right, or if I have to help out someone who's in my community that's going through a tough time, I can cut that check. And I want to let you know that that is what you really want from the money. You want financial flexibility, not financial freedom, right? We're still going to be in the game. We're still going to be doing the work. We just want the flexibility and the breathing room to make choices. So while you get caught up in this space of people posting their Stripe shots or their income reports or their, oh my gosh, there's screenshots of all the wins and the numbers, and it gets so easy to get caught up in comparison, I want to let you know that those things aren't the sole things that are going to help you grow, build, and have a business that's audience driven. Your audience is going to know if it's real, and they're only going to know that if you don't treat them like a dollar sign. So yes, pay attention to your numbers. You better believe that I love a profit and loss statement. I am good friends with my accountant, and my bookkeeper hears from me monthly. But I know that money isn't everything. And that's what's going to keep you in the game and really growing your brand. And of course, the final thing, do what you say you will do. There is no better way to grow your business and to have an audience that is committed, that is dedicated, that not only buys and purchases and supports you because they love your product and it's impactful, but they do it because they want to see you win, is because you show up and you do what you say you will do. And that often is a hard point for people because we worry about letting people down. We worry that if we don't do what we say we will do, or if we at least say that that's who we are, it's going to put a lot of pressure on us for perfection. And I want to let you know that doing what you say you'll do is not about perfection. It's also about saying what you can't do and doing that. So knowing that while it may be so tempting to say, I've got this huge 6-figure launch, listen, I tell all my clients, I do not wish you a massive launch for your first launch. Why? Because you likely don't have the infrastructure. You likely don't have the data. You likely are just getting started. So I wish you a manageable launch. I wish you a reasonable number. And I wish you an audience that is well served, because they'll keep showing up and you'll get that big launch when it matters, and you'll keep those people. And it all starts with doing what you say you will do. So if you're able to show up, show up. If you have to modify, modify. But you better believe that communication with your people around your capabilities is everything. And you cannot step away from it, because ultimately that's going to be the thing that's going to determine if your audience-driven business is a success. Know that you have to lift yourself, and you can do that by leading others. And no matter what in your business, chase joy. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is so much fun. I had to speed through it because I know that we have a timeline, but I'm hoping that I can have room now for questions if anyone has it, since we've got the general overview of the concept.
Nicole, thank you so much. It's been so amazing. I'm loving, everybody in the chat is just absolutely loving everything. Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Congratulations on all that you have done.
Oh,
thank
you
God.
so much.
What an inspiration. Absolutely mind-blowing. So going to take some responses. We're going to take some questions from the chat, and I would love to just hear what you have for Nicole. We'll be highlighting your questions, and yeah, and then we'll be bringing in a few other folks as well for Q&A as we go. But I guess, Nicole, first off, I want to say, I feel like sticking to your values is something that's very easy to lose sight of early on. You had mentioned that you had kind of turned down that original book deal at a time when, you weren't as established as you are now. So maybe, do you want to just give us another word or two on how to, first of all, really understand what your values are, and how to kind of stick to them, how to know when you need to stick to them, and where to draw that line.
Absolutely. So that's a great one. And this is actually one of the places where me and Pat actually really connected well. In the very beginning, I've known Pat for years now. Way back when, we were kind of the people who showed up the most for our people. Like we really didn't have an issue writing thank you notes or having conversations or interacting on that level. And I got to let you know, a lot of the experts and the coaches and the strategists always told me, hey, that's not the best move. You don't want to do that. You don't want to over-engage. You don't want to have so many conversations, because if you do, you're not going to be able to scale back and get yourself out of the business. And for me, that was a value thing. I knew what served people. I knew what felt good. I let my audience tell me what they needed. And I just had to be okay knowing that I may not have all the money, but you better believe the money that I had was good money that I deserved because I earned it. And so that was a huge shift for me. But value-wise, that's a lot of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for situations that also, and it's worth, stating so that you guys know candidly, like I'm a Christian. So like that drives a lot of my personal values. Now my audience is very diverse, but I'm very clear and upfront about that, I don't serve the dollar, I serve God. And so because of that, it also helps with my values. So if you have a family mission statement, if you have a personal faith, if you have personal values, this is something you can literally sit down and write notes about, because that is independent of money. It's independent of fame. It's independent of visibility. How do you want to show up in this world? Now lead your business that way. Say yes and no based on that.
That's Nicole, thank you so much for that. I feel like that speaks to why we're using this language of audience driven, and the way that Pat works, smart passive income. We inherently attract people that are looking to build their businesses and make money. And what we want to try to do is guide people into how to do that in the best way, in the most ethical way, in the most fulfilling way. There's lots of ways you could, try to manipulate algorithms and clickbait to, generate income, but you're not necessarily going to feel good at the end of the day if that's all that you've done.
Absolutely. And honestly, I don't own an algorithm. I don't own social media, but what I do own is my morals and my ethics and my good name, and that's something that will never waver as long as I continue to show up with that in mind. So all my conversations online, the other day I went to Whole Foods and I had this incredible orange juice and I was like, oh, I have to tell my friends about it. And my friends are my internet friends, so I was like, guys, it's $12, but stick with me here. I'm telling you it's worth it. It's a thing, and that's the energy I have, is I'm just telling my friends stuff that works for them. And that allows me to continue to build a business that always feels good and grows and shapes and is malleable to where I am.
I love it. So I think this segues into a question we got from Courtney in the chat. How do you pick niche in a crowded online space? I imagine the values give you a starting point, but any kind of more specific tips in that direction?
Sure. So everyone always says, oh my gosh, the online space is so crowded. A lot of you guys didn't even know about me until now, right? So it's not that crowded. There is always room for you, because a lot of you are in these comments, right? Friends. And you're like, I did not know about Nicole, but we are best friends now. I'm coming to your house. I'm making a sandwich. We're braiding each other's hair. And understand that I received this and you are welcome. So there's always room for you. And all that matters is that you just show up as yourself, because there's nothing harder to be than trying to fit into the other niche. So for me, it wasn't about picking a niche. It was finding my actual people. And I've got my people on this call. Like I can tell right now, and so it's exciting because if we mesh, we mesh. And if I'm too much for some people, well, they can go find less somewhere else, so, and being really okay with that, and I think that's what's important. So it's less about niching down and it's more about leaning into your authenticity, because if you do that, it'll niche itself out, because your people will show up and they'll be the only ones who stick around.
Absolutely amazing. And I just love it. There are people in the chat who are literally saying, I have no questions. I just want you to keep talking.
Oh my God. Literally, come to my social. This is what we do there. We are certified hot messes, and all we do is talk about the things, and then we sprinkle in lots of business stuff. So that's all it is.
Certified hot
Yeah, but
messes. I love it.
functional.
All right, I got my man. Oh, I'm sorry, Nicole. I got my man Pat Flynn here. I'm going to bring him in. And Pat, I'm going to keep.
Nicole, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was incredible. I was watching along, and just +1 for the vibe and the energy. Of course, as always, you are one of my best friends here, and I'm so grateful you're here. I do have a question for you, because one thing I've noticed that you've always done very well is you've been able to utilize social media in a way that does not at all feel like you're selling or you're pushy or anything like this. We get to see you, as we see here, all the time on places like Instagram. How do you approach social media? It is an important component, but I think it stresses out so many people when they try to consider, well, how do I do that alongside my business? What's your approach to that?
I stopped listening to everything about strategies and tricks. Ask me if I use a hashtag. I don't even know what that is. Like, the truth is, I treat social media, I'm not kidding, as a FaceTime or text message to my friends. That is absolutely how I treat it. And once I started thinking of it that way, I stopped hating it. Because what I hated was feeling obligated to follow a formula, use a certain caption pattern, hit these certain hashtags, tag at this time or post at this time. Like, I was like, I can't do that. I'm a mom. I'm a hot mess. I'm wearing the clothes I had on yesterday. I'm stressed. Okay. Like, I can barely keep my wigs in order. There's priorities. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do all the things. So knowing this, it was just so much easier for me to say, look, this is just the place where I would talk to any of my friends. And if I'm getting ready to launch my stuff, if I'm getting ready to enroll in a new program, my programs are the business. I challenge someone to tell me my programs aren't the business. My courses are phenomenal and effective. So if someone wants to come and chat with me about it, well, that's where we do it. Instagram is where I can FaceTime you. Hey, so I literally will go live saying, hey guys, I'm at whatever farmer's market. I just talked to the coolest person. You need to meet them. Girl, look at this. Or I'll say, I'm going shopping and I can't figure out what size clothes my kids need. Internet aunties, let's all collectively do this. We need help, And then if it's business stuff, it's like, guys, we need to have a talk, because I just got off with a client who didn't understand how important it is to have a separate bookkeeper from an accountant. Let's hop on here and talk about that fiscal responsibility. And I'm going to explain it in normal people speak, but take notes, because this is important. The same way I would tell any friend. So if you are making social media into something you hate, you'll stay away from it. Treat it like it's something you love, and who cares what the rules are, as long as you're there every day.
That's so beautiful. I think that provides a huge weight lifted off people's shoulders to hear that. And that's exactly the approach I do as well on social. Sometimes I forget, sometimes I don't have the time. Are you like a post once a day person, or is just kind of whenever something comes to mind that you want to share, you just go and share it?
So that's my universal rule. I only speak when I have something to say. Don't ask my mom that. My mom's like, no, you talk all the time. But I only speak when I have something to say. And I have posted on social media nonstop without break for 12 years. There has been some level of engagement on social media. So whether it's responding to a comment, answering, I still answer all my own DMs. I manage all of my own social media. Nothing is automated. Nothing is linked to any server or whatever else. You will get, if you hear a response or a like or a click or whatever, it came from me. So that's how it's been, and that's how it will be for as long as I can, because I actually like to talk to people. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I do it, and it works. It really does.
Thank you, Nicole. That's so great. One thing I've noticed about your brand and the culture that you're creating there is you have some raving fans, like massively raving fans. They're your rich friends, I'm
obsessed with them. We're obsessed with each other. We don't need anyone else. That's the other part that people don't realize. The people on my social media, we're a party by ourselves. We're literally like, come on if you want to, but it's okay because we have a good time. We have inside jokes. It's a thing.
I mean, you have your own language with them. You have this amazing bond. How can a person who has yet to achieve raving fans and super fans, what are one or two things they might be able to do to help people feel like they belong and that they feel heard?
Sure. I think that one of the things is creating safe spaces where we're able to talk and have that relationship. So for me, going live, but also having private webinars where we just hang out. I remember in the beginning, I would do co-working webinars where I'd be like, can we just hop on here and just hang out together? Or during the pandemic, we did these things that I called fireside chats where we all got together. We just talked about stuff we were scared about, and I think that so often we feel like every time we do something for our community, it has to be fiercely connected to business. So one person in the comments said, oh my gosh, well, it's kind of hard to find Nicole's offer. It's because I'm not pressed for people to find my offer. I want us to be good friends. And when it's time, I will absolutely make sure my offer can be found. And frankly, if we are close enough friends and it's time, you will make it your business to find the offer. And that is typically the case, so it's being able to talk to people about things that aren't just business all the time. And before you know it, and caring about listening to them too. So like I, in the DMs will often celebrate, like I've got Dr. Yolanda, she actually just became a doctor. She was getting ready to do her dissertation. So she sent me a DM and she was like, do you just have any advice? Because I'm nervous. And I was like, girl, you're going to crush this. I was like, you better tell me exactly how it goes and all that. And so then she checks back in, she's like, I did it. And I'm like having a party for her, like setting her, and this is all in the DMs, and I think that that's a huge part of it, right? Is just seeing people as people. Don't we all just want to be seen? And then encouraging them to see each other, to say like, that's what it looks like to support your friend. Don't buy into the fallacy that the internet's a mean place. It is everywhere else, but not here, and that's what we do. We lean in. Yeah, I love it. Everyone's like, Nicole in the DMs is fire. Because I talk to everybody. These are my friends. Hi, Myra.
This is a perfect message because we are talking about monetization today. And like you said, money is important, but it's not everything. And I think that's such an important message to hear. And the idea of not doing things that are always scalable. You're talking about being in the DMs. I know a lot of people, Nicole, I'll tell you, I met a person the other day who wanted to create a video message for all the Johns, a video message for all the Janices in their audience. Like they wanted to create 400 videos of the most popular names so that they could automate the personalization of it.
Sure.
I'm just like, just DM somebody directly and have a real conversation.
Do what you can, and then know that people will hopefully grant you grace where you can't. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to do all the things,
Can you speak to you've obviously had a lot of success with online courses. I'll be covering online courses at the tail end of today. A lot of people are going to be selling their first online course for the first time. Can you speak to and almost coach us who are maybe a little bit afraid to sell? This is a huge problem. I know a lot of your rich friends go through this sort of battle with themselves too. They don't want to sell out. They don't want to betray anybody. How do you sell and make it okay?
First of all, I'm the business. I'm the best thing you've never heard of, right? So that is like my belief system because I know that I know my stuff. I think so many people will say, oh my gosh, well, I just feel weird selling because it's about the monetary exchange. That's what feels uncomfortable. But I want to be very clear. Nobody wants your bad work for free. So if you're going to do it at all, you better put a price tag on it. Also, I am personally allergic to free. When I tell you free gives me hives, it makes me break out into sweats. Like I get itchy. Like I don't even like talking about it. It's like my throat's closing up. And it's like, I'll do free for like churches, charity, and children. That's about the extent of it. But outside of that, no, even the church pays the plumber. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it's like, as much as people struggle with selling as a concept, I need that money. And I've mentioned before, like I need that money. I mentioned before as a Christian to do like, it's an earthly tool to do heavenly good. I can't get to the places I'm supposed to go to make an impact if I can't fund the way to do it. And I'm not all caught up in money. Doesn't literally, it comes and it goes, it ebbs and it flows. There are people out there who have tons of money that are terrible people. Terrible people. Money is very good with me because I will do my eyebrows. I will make sure my wigs are on point. I will bless these people visually, and then I will bless them with content, So it's like money is good with me. It belongs here so I can do good things with it. So I encourage people to sell in a very tactical way and recognizing that it's your obligation. It is selfish to get up on stage and get people hyped up, hold them captive for 45 minutes and not provide them solutions to continue the journey. That's just wrong. That's not about impact. So I sell and I tell people where they can find me and where they can commit to their own journey because it's a commitment fee, right? It's not really a paycheck. People have received information for free and not done the work. So it's a commitment fee. So please commit to this process because I know I will show up and let's get this work done because I know you want it and I don't want to get you all hyped up and leave you hanging. So come on board, money's good with me.
So great. Nicole, thank you. Tony, I think there's a couple questions you want to address from the chat. Is there?
There was one from earlier. He was asking about scaling up. You, I'm sure, have had just a lot that you've had to do to change up how you manage your business as you've scaled up. So I'm just curious, got a quick comment on how you've handled that.
Yeah, so I've got 20 employees, and I can honestly tell you the hardest part of all of business is the people. It's the people management, it's finding the right team, it's having the right people in the right places, doing the right work. And I would put my team up against anyone. They are phenomenal. I run the Chick-fil-A of customer service. Okay, they are yes, please, and thank you, my pleasure, right? Because my team is phenomenal. But that was the hardest part for me as a business owner. As someone who is so hands-on, I had to know where to give up the reins so that I could be where I really wanted to be. So it's kind of a joke in the company that if I still want to hold social media, I'm going to have to give something else up, so I can't be the person who's packaging all the gifts, and I can't be the person who is responding to every customer service email, and I can't be the person who's fixing the login for the person, no matter how much I care, right? I have to, if I want to be able to be in the DMs and interact with people, which ultimately is where I want to be most, is being, face to face with the people I love, well, then I got to let go of other things. And so when it comes to scaling, it's important to make those hires. And your first important hire, your first hire should be the skills that you can't do well, which is legal and accounting. You need to give off your legal, you need to give away your financial. You are not qualified to do it unless that is your trained craft. And you can vendor or outsource or 1099 that. But then your next important hire is an admin, because you need to hand off your $10 tasks so that you can be focused on $10,000 ones. So even if my first admin, the only task they had was sorting my inbox for money, which is what I called it. I had a money folder, and they just went through it, and anything that was an offer or an opportunity went into that folder, because I didn't want to miss things. And that way I knew what to focus on first. And then everything else after that was able to be handled. So on just a simple scale, you can scale, and that's what that looks like.
Love it. Jillian's adding a lot of links into your Twitter and other spaces where we can find you. Tony, I think we have another guest with us really quick to finish off our Q&A here. Somebody who's very special to us because he's the whole reason why this platform exists right now. We got Rob from Hey Summit here.
Hey, Rob!
Hey, Pat. Hi,
This
Nicole.
is incredible. Like, look at this. Do you see this lighting? Like, this is amazing. Everything's coming together beautifully.
Yeah,
So Rob,
I'm so glad you got our lighting all set up.
I'm telling you, we look good here as a 4-quad, right? With this running, you guys may not know, but this tech has been phenomenal. This summit has been phenomenal. Like, I am beyond floored at how well you guys are doing here. This has been great.
That's awesome.
Thank
you.
Yes.
Well, I'm happy to take credit for your the way that you look right now. So
we're a mess.
Rob, thank you again.
Nicole,
this has been really cool to be able to create a space for even the speakers to connect, just like we are right now. The Q&A and the the mix of live stuff like what Nicole just did, to pre-recorded stuff, to even a little inserts in between. It's just been really neat, and we wanted to give you a shout out and a thank you for having us here. We're not quite done yet. We have a whole afternoon of stuff. I'll be closing and talking about online courses. But Tony, where do you want to go from here? Because we could go anywhere this point.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we've got Rob in here, so I do want to try to create some space for Rob to take some questions. And we've got Nicole here for a few more minutes. So we can just take it maybe 3 or 4 more minutes. And while we're waiting for any questions to roll in, Rob, I just want to thank you and your team for putting together this Hey Summit platform. It's so incredible to think that there's so many pieces to running in-person conference that you can now just do with software if you have right tools and if you've got the right kind of business logic and planning behind it, and being able to create and maintain all of that, have it be just such an interactive thing is so useful. Each one of these talks, it's going to have its own evergreen landing page on your site, which I'm psyched for. But tell me maybe just a little bit about how things are going for you and what your impressions are being in this environment now. Being part of the summit.
Flood of positivity. It's been it's been really awesome just to see the sessions that have happened so far. Obviously, this afternoon, really excited. We're also interested in looking at online courses. So obviously that information is going to be super valuable. And just the chat through here, it just sounds like people are having a great time. And I think just as a reflection in terms of the SPI team and the wider team, the way that you guys have used platforms like ours, like Restream, like all of these other ones, it's in both in the way that it was intended, but also using them in unique ways. And I think that's what we love to see. see. We love to see ways of being very efficient in terms of content delivery to make sure that your attendees are having great experiences, but also being engaging and making sure that there's that engagement there as well, and opportunities for like live interactions. So that kind of combination of convenience, but also, you know, really driving home the value is exactly why we wanted to build the platform. So it's super awesome to see. I'd certainly be very curious to see how much fun you all have been having from the kind of backside of it. I know our team has been in touch a little bit. It seems like it's going great. So really great to see.
Yeah, we'll definitely give you a report back and all the good and things that we think could maybe be used to improve the platform.
Absolutely.
You know, things can always be improved. What I think this speaks to is the fact that, you know what, it's like for anybody watching this right now, whether you want to create a summit or a podcast or start a business or any of this stuff, the tools are readily available for us to do this now. That used to be the excuse, right? Oh, well, that's hard to do, or I don't have the right microphone, or it's too expensive. Everything is now within our reach. So now it's up to you in getting the motivation. I think we just got super motivated by Nicole. And then, of course, if you have questions with any of these platforms, you can go to the creators like Rob at Hey Summit, or, you know, any of these things are available to us now. ConvertKit, Nicole and I are huge fans of ConvertKit as well. Nicole, can you, like, really quick, for anybody who's just like, oh, I don't know, I'm scared, I'm not sure if I should put myself out there, what's one sentence you could offer that would allow them to go, you know what, you're right, I think I can do this?
It's better to find out than to live with the question. So for me, it was, I'd been in corporate for so long, and I was like, let me give myself 1 year. And if I fail, at least I'll commit to corporate again. And I haven't failed yet.
So good. I would much rather live a life full of oh wells than a life full of what ifs.
That's
what ifs,
right.
you know what I mean? Those what ifs are going to be crazy. There's a question in the chat for you, Rob, with relation to summits and how long they might be. What would be your answer for how long should a summit be? 1 day, 2 day? What works well?
It's always great to start if you haven't done it before. It's always great to start out with maybe like a 1 day event. But remember, you know, when you're thinking of online summits, especially, you're not limited by some factors that you might be if you're doing like an in-person event. You know, you don't have the venue just for the day, so you have to kind of cram everything in there. You can spread things out. Like we see a lot of people who do, you know, lunchtime summits. So it's lunchtime every day for 4 days. And so it's only taking a little bit of time out of your customers or your attendees' day. We also see like sort of micro summits, or we call them lightning summits, where it actually takes place, a whole summit takes place over about 90 minutes. And you have 10-minute talks, 15-minute networking session, 10-minute talks, etc. That's a really great way to start it out. It doesn't take a huge amount, you know, of organization and planning, and it's quite fun, and the energy is quite funny, and you know, people seem to enjoy constantly running around trying to make sure they catch that talk. So yeah, I would encourage people to, you know, try it out by maybe sticking to a day to start with. But yeah, you shouldn't be limited by anything that you think is like the done way. It really depends on what your audience wants and what you're kind of wanting to get across.
And last follow-up question from Sandy here says, do you think you need to have a lot of speakers for a 1 day summit? How do you gauge who shows up and the sort of sequencing and the run of show, as they call it?
No, like you don't have to like cram 30 speakers into a day. Like you don't have to worry about that too much. Like our, you know, what we see in terms of a normal starting summit, like the first summit that someone puts on, it's usually between 5 and 10 speakers. And so, and again, that could be anywhere from a 1 day summit to a 3 day summit usually. So, you know, we're not talking about huge numbers. You also don't need to be cramming full all the hours of the day. You don't need to be going live from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. if you don't want to. You can just take a 3-hour chunk, you know, during the day, or 3-hour chunk over 2 days. The other thing that maybe you remember is just because you have a speaker doesn't mean that it's just one session. You might have a speaker. You might be able to give maybe office hours to have that speaker available for people to kind of come in and ask questions. Maybe you'll have a networking session where that speaker will be around to engage as well, or without any speakers, you just kind of have general networking. So there are a lot of different ways that you can add more sessions if you're feeling like the audience wants it, without necessarily worrying about like having 30 speakers at the ready.
Beautiful. Well,
So good.
what an amazing start to the day, Nicole. You just, wow, every single stage you're on, and you
Thank
did
you.
not disappoint at all. Thank you. Whether it's virtual, in person, we're always there, and we're always enthralled by you. Rob, thank you so much for allowing for this platform to exist and to have us be here all together. And we still got more to go. So Tony, why don't you come back in and we'll talk a little bit about what's coming next.